It's Babu Frick! What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's your favorite Cowabunga boys, KB and Dylan, coming at you with a loaded show from Underground Studios. We're going to get into episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi with our full breakdown, analysis, thoughts, theories, all that good stuff. We're going to continue our Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1 breakdown, episodes 3 and 4 for the people. We're going to give you our Miss Marvel predictions because we're back on the Marvel train starting next week. So as we always do the week before, we do our prediction show, and then we'll get into the streaming platform, Multiverse News and Notes, everybody's favorite segment on this show. But before we get started, a little housekeeping. Make sure you're following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, on Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. And I know you guys are getting a double dose of the pod, 2 episodes in less than a week, but make sure you're subscribed to the podcast feed, because right now on those charts, live look for the people, as we check this out here. We are number 61 in Saudi Arabia, number 165 in Austria, so still cooking over there with our Saudi Arabian listeners and our Austrian listeners. But go subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. And Dylan, what should they be leaving in the Apple Podcast reviews?
They should be leaving recommendations on what you and I are to watch after this complete bender that we're going on.
We are on a hardcore. Shows. We are on such a bender that we've put We Own This City to the side for right now.
Yeah, and that's no knock to that show because I actually started watching it. But no, so let us know what you want us to watch. And I always say it. Kyle says it. We have access to pretty much, if not all, streaming services at this point. So do not back or bow down because it's on a random service. We have access to it, and we are wanting to watch it.
Big facts. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Hit the like button. Click the bell icon so you don't miss any episodes of StreamerSZN. Typically come out on Thursdays. But we did have that nice little Saturday epi for you because we had to talk about Stranger Things. We had to talk about Obi-Wan immediately.
Yes, sir.
But you never know when we're going to drop these epis. But of course, it's typically recorded on Wednesdays, uploaded on Thursdays. So go check out Underground Sports Philadelphia on YouTube. That's where you get StreamerSZN in full video form. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Tomahawk Shades, best small batch eyewear in the game. Go to tomahawkshades.com and use promo code USP at checkout for 25% off your order. Get those blue light glasses. Protect your eyes. Make sure they're not bleeding like 11. Got to protect those bad boys. TomahawkShades.com.
You don't want that.
Promo code USP for 25% off your order. Kenwood Beer, Dylan's bevy of choice when he's heading to the Upside Down or to the sands of Tatooine. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. Got to be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. And Bino Board, go to binoboard.com. Use our code BINHOUSP, that's BINHOUSP, for 10% off your order, and that includes the limited edition ultraviolet board, still available, but you got to get it while you can, at binoboard.com. Dylan, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 3, dropped today. Tons of Star Wars content over the past couple days.
Yes, sir.
And this episode definitely did not disappoint. Some more world building for this show. I also recently found out that this show was initially supposed to be a movie, so that's kind of why it's looking the way that it does.
Yeah, it flows very well, right? Like, there's no jaggedness to it. Like, the episodes take place.
And that's why the episodes are titled, like, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, because it was initially intended to be a movie, but now a show on Disney+. So, arriving on Mapuzo, Dylan. What'd you call me? On Mustafar, Darth Vader rises from his bacta tank and he gets assembled by nearby machinery, which kind of a callback to the OG Palpatine words that he wanted to make it look mechanical and seem kind of painful for Darth Vader to be in the suit. It's not, a life of luxury being a Sith Lord. He wanted it to kind of be very painful so that he didn't reach his full potential. The Dark Lord is later informed by the third sister that Obi-Wan is alive and that the Grand Inquisitor has been incapacitated. So for the people out there, he's not dead. He's just incapacitated. Everybody's theories, Dylan. I don't know if you've gotten this on like your YouTube for you or on TikTok or Instagram. Everybody's like, are they retconning Rebels? Is the Grand Inquisitor dead? Is this the biggest retcon of all time? No. He got stabbed. He ain't gonna get up that quick from where he got stabbed, okay?
Yes. And I love how Darth Vader immediately after that follows up, I've been watching you. Because it implies that he knows that she stabbed him. And he's like, you know what? I promised in this one. You're gonna get yourself a promotion.
And we do get the return of James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, which I don't know if you heard it, which I'm sure you did. It sounded very original movie voice.
Yeah, they made the
audio editing. Yeah, sounded very much like episodes 4, 5, and 6.
They made Darth Vader a menace in this. Like they actually made him terrifying to some degree, and that's what he's supposed to be.
Yes. So dismissing the loss of the Grand Inquisitor, Vader orders the third sister to prove herself capable and that she will be made the new Grand Inquisitor, threatening that she will not live to regret her failures. Obi-Wan meditates in the cargo bay of the shuttle that he and Leia had boarded to escape Daiyu, silently reflecting on the realization that his former apprentice is still alive. The cargo shuttle soon lands on the planet Mapuzo, which is under the occupation of the Galactic Empire. Obi-Wan tells Leia to pretend to be his daughter and to use a fake name, and that he is a farmer. The duo begins walking towards the rendezvous point that had been set up by Bail Organa for the safe extraction of Leia back to Alderaan. Along the way, Obi-Wan explains to Leia that Mapuzo had once been a lush world, but was now rendered a barren wasteland due to the Empire's mining activities. Obi-Wan then has a brief vision of a hooded figure on the horizon, which turns out to be Anakin Skywalker.
That was cool.
Obi-Wan quickly snaps out of the vision, and the two continue their travels. Yeah, that was a dope little kind of smash scene.
I was waiting. I mean, it was him foreshadowing basically, or like sensing that Darth Vader's coming. I thought they were gonna cut to like Darth Vader like trying to attack him like right after that scene, but I'm glad it was more of a slow burn, I guess.
Yeah. So the third sister arrives at the Fortress Inquisitorius. Say that 10 times fast.
Pretty cool fortress, not gonna lie.
Yes. To inform the other Inquisitors of her mission and that she had been put in charge of the search for Kenobi, she demands that probe droids be sent out to pinpoint Obi-Wan's location, while the other Inquisitors reluctantly agree to her temporary leadership. On Mapuzo, the two eventually reach the rendezvous point, but find that Bail's contact is nowhere to be found. Leia waves down a nearby vehicle and convinces the driver, Freck, voiced by the one and only Zach Braff.
And then they find Babu Free.
When I saw Freck and he just looks like a freaking mole, I kid you not, I burst out laughing. His character looks so goofy.
Like a mole, and then ironically, the first thing I thought of was that isn't there a villain in the Incredibles where he's like, "I'm the mole man."
Yes.
I'm the miner, whatever.
They convince Freck to drive them to the nearest spaceport. Freck agrees, and Obi-Wan and Leia climb on the back, and Obi-Wan takes notice of an Imperial banner hung on the back of Freck's vehicle.
Yeah, you should have. Everyone watching, when we saw that, we were like, "This is going to end poorly."
Yes. Along the way, Freck reveals that he is a staunch supporter of the Empire, which Leia and Obi-Wan agree to in order to avoid suspicion. This is
go Vader.
Let's go Vader. My freedoms.
Oh man.
Soon after, Freck stops and offers a ride to a squad of traveling stormtroopers. What a bootlicker Freck is. The stormtroopers question Obi-Wan if he's a miner, M-I-N-E-R, for the people just listening. To which he denies, claiming he's a farmer. Obi-Wan accidentally refers to Leia by her real name instead of the made-up name, and my heart sunk.
A stormtrooper was hounding him. He was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Bro,
Leia,
take it easy."
Which catches the attention.
You could tell the awkward silence when Obi-Wan says,
he was like,
he said sometimes like, "I see my dead wife with her, so I call her Leia." I mean, you see them all they all look down. They're like, "Oh shit, way to go, Jim."
So Leia simply reminds him of his deceased wife, like Dylan just said, and seemingly convinced the troopers tell Obi-Wan to report if he sees anything, and they depart. Leia questions if Obi-Wan knew her real mother, and even asks if he is her real dad. Are you my dad?
I was like, "Oh, sweetie, you're getting close, but no."
To which Obi-Wan empathizes with, and Obi-Wan reveals he vaguely remembers his parents, and that he had a younger brother. Is that the actual Ben Kenobi? Is that baby Kenobi? But that the Jedi Order was his new family. I don't know about you, Dylan. I heard a few people talking about this, and I kind of agree. I don't want to know who Obi-Wan's brother is.
Neither do I. I kind of think I speak for Star Wars fans. Like, I like that we're getting this show, but I do like that we're getting shows involving new characters. So I hope it's a trend going forward, you know? Like, you can dabble back and throw in an old OG character here or there, but I also want new stories. So I guess you could counter argue and say, "But Dylan, we haven't seen his brother before," and you're right. But guess what? His brother still has the gosh darn still Kenobi for a last name, and you know what I mean. And we already had to deal with all the is Rey a Kenobi, and we had to deal with just other like weird things about Kenobi. So I'm just the show's great.
Kenobi.
Yeah, we can get him back, but that's what I draw the line. But
plot twist: Darth Maul is Obi-Wan's brother.
There might be an Easter egg for him here in the show.
Soon after, Freck stops his vehicle at an Imperial checkpoint and reports to the troopers stationed at the checkpoint that they might want to interrogate Obi-Wan. A stormtrooper calls in a probe droid and orders Obi-Wan out of the vehicle, to which he hesitantly complies with. As the probe droid begins scanning Obi-Wan's face, he brandishes his blaster and destroys the droid. Obi-Gun Kenobi makes a return.
Yo, bro, my man got good with the blaster. For someone who used to say how uncivilized, like my man's whipping it, bro. He's
just to put this out there, Obi-Wan shot first.
I don't know who's more badass with a pistol. And if you watch Stranger Things, you get that Agent Harmon or Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh my god!
A small squad of stormtroopers, along with an Imperial officer, arrive, responding to the firefight. And unbeknownst to the troopers, the officer Tala Durith was actually Bail's contact. Tala proceeds to kill the troopers with a blaster before helping Obi-Wan and Leia escape the area. Because when they cut to her walking, I said, "Who the fuck is this?"
Yeah, I'm a little pissed. They made it too predictable, in my opinion. I'm not sure you picked up on it. Like, I knew she was going to shoot the trooper in the back because they had like an awkward shot when they were showing her, and I was like, and then they didn't show her again, and they showed Obi-Wan bending, like cowering, surrendering, and I was like, she's totally shooting him in the back, and she did. So cool though, but I was like, meh, it was predictable.
Yeah, I was so confused as to who that was. I was like, I've never seen this person before in my life.
My coworker got me a Star Wars Lego a while ago, so I'm trying to open that while I would do this. I want to see what it looks like.
So Tala brings Obi-Wan and Leia to a nearby settlement and states that they need to lay low for a few hours until one of her pilots can take them off-world. They seek shelter in Tala's workshop, where she reveals that she secretly works to help Jedi and other Force sensitives. At one point, even working with Quinlan Vos, Dylan. I think this is one of the biggest reveals of this episode.
That was a good name drop.
Quinlan Vos, for the people at home, we'll pause here to do a little Star Wars history lesson with the people. Quinlan Vos, that name drop was massive. Quinlan Vos survived Order 66, and he was a male Kafar Jedi Master who lived during the final days of the Galactic Republic. Survived the Jedi Purge, which the fact that,
That's impressive in itself.
he finding that, Voss teamed up with Obi-Wan Kenobi to track and recapture Dylan's favorite crime lord, Zero the Hutt,
Stop it.
during the Clone Wars, and finding that Zero had been freed
You
by
just like to hurt me.
Cad Bane. Voss and Kenobi followed their trail to Nal Hutta, the Hutt homeworld, and then eventually to Teth. Here they discovered Zero had been murdered and subsequently failed their attempt at arresting Cad Bane. The fact that they name dropped that he was still alive means
Pretty cool.
a number of things, especially the fact that there are other Jedi out there that survived Order 66.
Yeah, and I think that's where they're going, like towards like the different shows and media. Like they're finally gonna pick maybe a guy like Quinlan or a guy like Cal Kestis in the video game and make live action.
A lot of people are suspecting Cal Kestis could be coming.
Yeah, and then or they could make up a random. They could make a random make up a Jedi. It's not hard to make up a random, like Padawan that survived and became equivalent to that of a Jedi Knight. I mean,
Yeah.
You have to just fit them into the story. You can't make them like some crazy hero because we obviously know what happened, but they can be behind the scenes because, let's face it, Star Wars is a bazillion, trillion aliens,
Right.
So.
And then Obi-Wan reads that wall in there.
This is the way.
This is the way. I can't help but think that has some sort of tie. Because we all know Obi-Wan has ties in the Clone Wars to the Mandalorian.
Yeah, quite.
Not the show, the creed, the race Mandalorians, but
yeah, no, he's one would say he has physical ties to
bam, 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 bam.
Well, not anymore, but yeah. Sorry, too soon? No.
Which is why we always say you should be watching the Clone Wars. So yeah, I mean, I think that reveal and then the mentioning of the way, I think is nice little teaser breadcrumbs.
Yeah, teaser Easter egg right there. Could also mean something. Who knows?
Tala also reveals that she once believed in the Empire, but grew delusioned when the regime became increasingly totalitarian. When night falls, the trio depart for the spaceport, but Obi-Wan senses a disturbance in the Force and reels against a wall. Outside of the building, Darth Vader and a contingent of Inquisitors and Stormtroopers have arrived. Vader walks through the streets of the settlement, terrorizing civilians and killing at random in order to draw Kenobi out.
Kid's neck, dude. That was nuts.
It was tough to watch that scene. Like, that was, like, dark.
What's with Stranger Things? What's with Disney and snapping people's limbs, bro? Between Obi-Wan and Stranger Things, you guys are down bad for snapping people up. Like
the meme that's killing me right now is the Stranger Things season 4 no context, and it's just like Lois Griffin on the bed, like all discombobulated. So then Obi-Wan tells Tala to get Leia to Alderaan while he distracts Vader, and as Tala and Leia head to the spaceport, Obi-Wan flees into a nearby quarry where he is pursued by Vader.
Love that.
And this is where things get all hot and heavy, literally.
Heyo.
As Obi-Wan heads through the quarry,
literally.
he is startled by the sudden appearance of Vader, who ignites his lightsaber, and Obi-Wan draws his lightsaber but doesn't ignite it, and runs away immediately after. Vader continues to follow Obi-Wan, who eventually stands his ground, and upon seeing Vader again, Obi-Wan asks what has he become, to which Vader responds that he is what Obi-Wan has made him. Hesitant to fight, Obi-Wan runs away once more, and meanwhile, Leia convinces Tala to return and help Obi-Wan, and that she is capable of reaching the ship by herself. Tala reluctantly agrees and heads back to find Obi-Wan, and at that moment, that's when they both realize they fucked up. Obi-Wan continues to traverse the quarry, now being hunted by Vader, and suddenly Vader emerges from the darkness and swings his lightsaber at Obi-Wan, who reflects the blade with his own. And I don't know if you noticed this, Dylan, but I saw it kind of in a clip. Darth Vader's only using one hand on his lightsaber during that.
He only ever fights with one hand pretty much now. He's
and
badass.
that more so, like, in that scene, to me, is like he's just toying with Obi-Wan.
He is toying with him, and that's That's why I think he let him escape as well. And we'll talk about that in a second.
A brief yet fierce duel ensues. It's time to duel.
The dialogue was cool too when Darth Vader says, "You
Yes.
should have killed me when you had the chance." I was like,
Uh,
"Yo, that's cold."
Vader quickly overpowers Obi-Wan and forces him back, and after knocking down a storage container filled with flammable rocks, Vader seizes Obi-Wan with the Force, igniting the flammable rocks with his lightsaber, and Vader forces Kenobi into the flames, claiming that his pain has only just begun. Momentarily satisfied,
Ooh.
Vader orders his stormtroopers to seize Obi-Wan. Taylor returns and reignites the rocks with a blaster bolt, cutting Obi-Wan off from Vader and his troops. And Taylor quickly moves in to rescue Obi-Wan, who has sustained serious burns as they escape. No wonder Obi-Wan aged so much.
Oh, dude, that scene alone is why this episode to me was incredible because it that they actually encompassed and captured Darth Vader in terms of like he is until he sees the light again. I guess you can say he is a terrible human being. He is the epitome of he's guttural, and you
Mm-hmm.
see that. Like Kyle said, Kyle talked about it. He's toying with Obi-Wan. He probably could have easily murked Obi-Wan. It's the same thing when what's her face interferes and the fire pops back up, and then the loader droid just casually, slowly picks up Obi-Wan, and Darth Vader's like, "Oh no, this pit of fire! I can't go around or force pull you to me." I think it's because he's kind of like probably surprised how bad Obi-Wan is, like at fighting,
Mm-hmm.
and he's toying with him in terms of like maybe he's like, "Oh, I'll let him go because he might lead me to more Jedi or rebels." And then also with what Kyle said, dragging him through the fire and wanting him to feel his own pain. That's the most Darth Vader like thing ever. Like petty enough to
100%.
recreate like a Mustafar situation. You're like, remember when you let me burn, bro? Yeah, it's your turn. It's your turn now, dog.
So then as Leia heads to the ship, she runs into Reva, the third sister, who has arrived first and killed the pilot. The Inquisitor
R.I.P.
tries
that
to win
pilot.
Leia's trust, but Leia, sensing danger, instead turns and runs. And that is episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Dylan, your biggest takeaways from this episode? I mentioned mine earlier. I think the mentioning of Quinlan Voss is massive. I think the little subtle drop of "this is the way" was
Showing the true
huge.
Sith.
And then the fire, the Ring of Fire, Darth Cash.
Down, 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 the burn ring of. No, so I generally will have to say the Ring of Fire, and just really showing. And I know I voiced my concern with the second sister or third sister, the Inquisitor, but she was better in this episode, and I like the direction that they're headed with her character. Um, so I'm kind of excited, and I hope I get more backstory. I know. Also, side note, people are saying some nasty things online to the actress herself, and
Fuck them.
that just further proves that Kyle and I always talk about and make this joke. But Star Wars fans literally are the worst. We are the best, and we are the worst. We are crazy. But take that creative energy and like write a constructive, non-racial, helpful, insightful like review or like a letter and send it to the director. Don't send it to the actors. The actors don't choose what they're going to say.
I
That's the
saw her on
director.
Jimmy Kimmel last night too. She was fantastic on there.
That's awesome. Good for her. Good for her. Like to get a press tour too. But like my point is, take it up with the director. Take it up with whoever. Like take it up with the script writers. Like and still be civil. Don't be crazy. But just say, hey, I don't like this. This is why. This is my opinion. And you might get a response back. They might actually take time out of their day to respond to you and acknowledge you because you're being a human being. It's a human being. Don't be a piece of shit.
Or they might
Um,
just send you back everybody's favorite response meme. Damn, I'm sorry that happened to you. Or damn, that's crazy. I'm not going to read all that though. Best of luck.
yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Channel your
Oh
negative
yeah.
thoughts and put it in a more
Don't be a piece of
constructive,
shit.
creative. Yeah, yeah.
That's what it boils down to. Like, and
But
good on Star Wars for putting out the statement
yes, I
and
did like
everything.
that. And I
Ewan
like a couple
McGregor
of the
put out his
actors.
own
Yep.
personal video statement too, which was great. Also, speaking of Ewan McGregor, real quick, episode 2 with the spice dealer. That's Ewan
That was
McGregor's
hard.
real life daughter.
Yeah, that was crazy when I saw that. I did not know that right away. But no, so what I liked is I just liked the revampedness of the character I was concerned about. I liked the way she was going. I liked Darth Vader being in it. Obviously, I liked Earl Jones, and I liked how dark that episode was. And I'm not crazy. I just think if you're gonna have a Jedi and a Sith, you have to show the compassion that drives a Jedi, and you have to show the hatred and the dark that drives the Sith. It's a yin and yang. You have to have a give and take situation, and they did that wonderfully, in my opinion. Because Obi-Wan's drifting further and further and further away from the shell that he was back to himself, and then Darth Vader is nothing like himself, or Anakin's nothing like himself, and you're seeing how merciless and how crazy he is because Obi-Wan presumably thought he was dead and hasn't seen the monstrosity in person. So it was really cool.
A lot of nice, nuggets in this episode. I think it was a nice build up episode, a nice like plot building episode to me. But Dylan, what's your rating for this one?
So this one, it's going to be higher than 1 and 2. I'll say for episode 3, I'll give it like an 8.3. I like the dark side out, like the elements, and I'm excited to where next week leads us.
Yeah, this one's at an 8.3 for me, which is lower than what I gave episodes 1 and 2. I just liked the flow and like the full blown like plot being thrown in your face from episodes 1 and 2. This one had great parts. I just felt like this was more of a plot building episode than anything else, and then obviously you get the one big action scene, but I think this was like your mid-season plot build. This is what we're going to be setting up for the rest of the season, because we're already halfway through the show already, which is crazy to think about. But I really enjoyed it. It's not a knock on the episode at all. I just think it was more of a plot building episode than like a sit down, buckle in, like strap in type of episode. Mm-hmm. And then it ends in that way, which was really fun. And then, like I said, nice Easter eggs, nice little nuggets, nice name drops. Very fun episode, and I think next week's going to be fucking electric.
Agreed.
Dylan, shall we head to the Upside Down? Stranger Things, Season 4, Volume 1. We are going to be diving into episodes 3 and 4.
Only if you let me run on a hill, Kyle.
Not till episode 4. So episode 3, titled "The Monster and the Superhero," the shortest runtime episode of the season, only an hour and 3 minutes.
Only
everything else much longer.
That in perspective,
right?
Some of the Marvel and Star Wars shows are much shorter. So that's funny hearing that.
Right. Normally, we're talking about episodes that are like 34 minutes. It's like, give us more.
Yeah, it's 40 minutes, but the goddamn credits are 55 million years.
So we last left off with 11 absolutely bodying that son of a bitch Angela, and of course we kick things off in Ruth, Nevada, which was kind of an unexpected turn, I'd say, for this point in the season. Didn't expect to be in Nevada, but we meet up with our old friend Dr. Owens and his wife Kathy, where they are now residing, and they are visited by U.S. Colonel Jack Sullivan, who gives them autopsy photos of the love of my life, Chrissy Cunningham, which I found out the actress who plays Chrissy, she streams on Twitch.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was in her stream the other night for a little bit, just watching her absolutely body people, and I think, I forget what game, it might have been Apex or Overwatch or something, but she was murking people. It was so fun.
Good for her.
So then they ask for his opinion on what could have caused the death of the girl. The colonel states that every incident that has happened in Hawkins can be traced back to 11, with Sullivan suggesting that she has gone rogue and had killed the young girl through remote assassination, as evidenced how Chrissy's body is similar to that of Connie Frazier's corpse. Owens refute...
That's a good callback, by the way, because in one of the earlier seasons, they did show her kind of doing that. Mm-hmm. Like Matthew Modine's character was kind of training her to, like, do that kind of thing. So it's interesting.
And it's fun. My dad is finally on the train, Dylan. He is starting Stranger Things from the beginning. Has never watched it. So I'm kind of like watching it along with him again and like picking up on things. And there's a lot of stuff in season 1 that's being called back to season 4, which is awesome. So Owen refutes against the Colonel, but he suggests that 11 is still alive and has been receiving help from the inside and suspects the mole is Owens himself. After Owens refuses to give out info that relates to 11, Sullivan orders his men to raid his house in search of valuable information and leaves once they get what they needed. Sensing impending danger, Owens begins to look for 11. I hate the Colonel. Like, he's such a scumbag.
He is, and I hate his character, but he's needed in sense of you have to look at it from the other side. If you're like a government agency that really wasn't as involved with like Dr. Brenner's project, but you kind of knew about it, you have to think like, how would you handle the situation? Like if Hawkins kept like I made a joke to my dad because he watched it finally. Like Stranger Things, he's kind of the same journey as your dad. He only had to catch up on like part of season 3 and then this season. I was like, Dad, like, what should they do? He's like, I just nuke it at this point. He's like, that place sucks. And I was like, honestly, Dad, that might be how the show ends next year because like, this town is cursed.
My dad was watching episode 3 of season 1 when Steve breaks Jonathan's camera, and my dad just goes, "Oh, you fucking dickhead." So back in Rinkomania, paramedics arrive and treat to Angela's wound, while bystanders begin to look fearful of 11 after she had smashed Angela's face for her constant torments. Will, Mike, and 11 eventually picked up by Jonathan and Argyle and taken back to the Byers' residence, where they are surprised to see that Murray comes by and visits with Joyce, staging a fake cover story where she goes to Alaska for a conference, not telling the kids that Hopper may still be alive. Also, the subtle Easter egg in episode 2 that has shattered my heart, realizing that the day that they're at the skating rink is Will's birthday.
As the top comment, a top comment on the video that I watched for that as well. I watch, like,
my heart broke into a gazillion pieces.
The top comments, and even the directors forgot about his birthday.
I was so broken.
Yeah, I think I texted Kyle when I was watching through. I said, what is the Duffers brothers' infatuation with hurting Noah Schnapp's like character? Like, what? Right? Why is Will the whipping post? Like, is it because Will whipping post? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Whipping post Byers.
Seriously, man. I don't ever want a character to die, but if he dies, as long as it's not painful, I almost would be happy for his character.
He's gonna be free.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, he might want to be free.
God damn. So Jonathan and Argyle, both high out of their fucking brains, they tell Joyce of what had transpired in Rinkomania without implicating that 11 was the aggressor, and this causes 11 to retreat back into her room in solitude, with her constantly rethinking back the moment in Rinkomania and the massacre that took place in 1979. And I also don't know if you saw this video too, Dylan, when season 4 starts and 11's reading the letter that she's writing to Mike, and then in this scene here, her bedroom door's open 3 inches.
Yep. It's like her daddy told her.
Elsewhere in the Upside Down, the entity now classified by the group as Vecna begins to look for his next Vecnictum.
Yeah, you tried. Let's just keep on rolling. That's a crash and burn situation.
Which so happens to be Patrick McKinney, a member of the Hawkins Tigers basketball team. At Benny's diner, Lucas awakes to find his teammates begin to gear up weapons in search of Eddie, hoping to torture him till they get a confession. Despite how disturbed Lucas... Oh, what?
No, you're good. I'm just saying, I think we probably all share this response. Like, at first, you get it, the boyfriend is on edge, he's mad, whatever, upset. But it's like, it turned into, the Simpsons angry mob meme. They're like, you know what, boys? I'm team captain. I'm charismatic. Let's kill him. Yeah. Like, have an original thought for yourself. Any of you?
Right? The
Let me
worst.
We're just going to scare him. Oh, you're going to scare him with a pitchfork and a bat? Okay, cool.
Despite how disturbed Lucas finds this act, he offers to help and tags along with Jason, Andy, and Patrick. And during the ride, Patrick begins to exhibit the first symptom, which is a nosebleed. And back at the boathouse, Steve, Dustin, Max, and Robin share the news with Eddie, who is told that the police are still in search for him as the prime suspect in Chrissy's murder, but his name has not been disclosed to the public yet. The group plans to kill Vecna and prove his innocence, which Eddie finds at first to be impossible to achieve. The group begin to recount their encounters with the Upside Down and how they relied on Eleven's powers to save the day. And noticing the police cars and fire truck passing by, the group sees the mutilated corpse of Fred Benson, as well as police picking up the testimonies from Nancy, who eventually spots the gang.
That's why I said crash and burn.
And goes to join their quest. Well played, sir. Well played.
Poor guy.
Back at the Byers' residence, Mike and Will still process to feel about the aftermath of the Rinkomania incident, and Mike eventually talks to Eleven, who tells him that she feels she does not belong in the normal society, and brings up the way he had to look at her after she had smashed Angela's face, which sparks an argument between the two, whether or not they really love each other. And Eleven telling Mike that she is no longer a superhero. Suddenly, cops arrive and detain 11 for her aggression act, with Mike swearing that he will find a way to get her out of there. It's like that video meme. I'm going to get you out of there. I'm going to get you out of there.
And Mike, it's good. It's funny. Mike, he'll learn eventually when he gets older, but he did not do the thing called compromising in the argument.
Correct.
So,
you big dummy.
Big F. Big L.
F's in the chat for Mike. Back at the Byers' residence, or I'm sorry,
She's
during
like,
their flight.
Just say you love me. No.
Right. Okay.
I've been dating for a year. You could say the word. It's okay. It's okay.
During their flight to Alaska, Joyce feels guilty about not telling the kids on what they actually intend to do, which Murray justifies it that they would have to. They would have got involved in. The search and everything, and arriving in Alaska after long hours, they begin to head to their destination. I also love the official Stranger Things account tweeting and posting on Instagram pictures of Murray in his kitchen outfit in the apron and calling him Mommy Murray.
Murray's a good side character, man.
Fun fact, Dylan, do you know the actor who plays Murray has also appeared in The Office?
When?
He was the magician.
Oh yeah.
That is Murray.
That's a while ago. That's why I didn't think about that. Oh.
But I love it's like Mommy Murray has come to cook the risotto.
He's hilarious.
He's one of my favorite characters that they've ever brought in.
He's been interesting ever since his entrance.
In Kamchatka, Hopper, along with the other prisoners, are forced to labor work involving fixing railroad tracks, and Enzo, whose actual name is Dmitry Antonov,
by the way, another character I love.
Yes, big fan. He pulls Hopper aside, albeit faking it as a punishment for insulting a prison guard. He delivers news to Hopper as Joyce and Murray are in the process of getting him back home, and tells him about the smuggler, our good friend Yuri. Your thoughts on Yuri, Dylan?
I hate him.
He's such a scumbag.
I hate him. He's like literally oozes sleazeball vibes.
Yes.
And they all trust him. They all trust him.
And he tells Hopper about how Yuri has smuggled illegal goods to Russian guards, including peanut butter. Antonov warns Hopper to be on the flight the next morning, or he'll remain trapped in Russia. During lunch, Hopper tells another prisoner to break his leg in exchange for his entire share of food, to which the prisoner agrees to commit in order to loosen his foot chains. After the day, Hopper arrives at his cell and attempts to remove the chain, to which he succeeds, and that whole scene gave me the heebie-jeebies because it was so gross, and all I could think of was...
we don't gotta talk about it. We ain't gonna talk about it.
All I could think of was this man is about to get the meanest case of tetanus of all time.
Realistically, tetanus, and if you watch episode 4, he probably should have frostbite. But we're gonna
Yes. Gathering around near the scene of the murder, the group, along with Nancy, theorizes that what had killed Chrissy comes from the Upside Down, with Nancy questioning why Fred and Chrissy are both victims of the curse, and Nancy tells the group that Fred behaves differently once they reach the trailer park, with Max also informing the group of Chrissy's same behavior at the school's bathroom. Thinking that they had seen, Vecna, the group proceeds to go to Miss Kelly's residence, while Nancy and Robin investigate the lead that was given to them by Wayne Munson, talking about, you ever heard of a man named Victor Creel? As they go out to investigate. I do declare that Victor Creel, back in my day, he was a murderer. He murdered his whole family, Dylan, that Victor Creel. As they go out to investigate the leads, the place where Chrissy had originally died starts to form ooze stains. I hate when my ceiling oozes. And it has cracks, kind of symbolizing something we've seen in the past. We'll get to that later on. Along for the ride, Jason and his friends spotted other members of the Hellfire Club doing their whole garage band thing. Upon not giving information related to Eddie's whereabouts, Jason begins to beat down one of the members, with the latter points to them that Dustin may know of his location. Having got what they needed, they set out to search for him, with Lucas starting to form his own plans to search for Dustin in the group. Jason and his friends start to investigate the Henderson residence, only to find no one home. Lucas sneaks off and contacts Dustin, who tells him that they found Eddie, with Lucas expressing skepticism in regards of Eddie being the murderer, to which Max tells him to meet them at the school so he can catch up. Jason catches the act, with Lucas faking it as searching for clues. Finding ways to break off from the group, Lucas informs the trio of having found one while investigating. In the interrogation room, Eleven does not give out the reason as to why she had hurt Angela, which concludes the officers to place Eleven under a juvenile detention center hearing. And as Eleven is being processed, Mike, Will, and Jonathan go to search for their friend, and they get rejected by the receptionist upon them not being Eleven's parents or legal guardians, which in fact is just not the case. It's not true. You don't need that. And 11 is driven away to the detention center, to which Mike immediately spotted 11 tearfully looking back at her boyfriend. Pursuing any lead that they might have had, Nancy and Robin go to the public library in order to research more about Victor Creel and his committed murders in 1959, just when the Chum famine happened. Using this time...
Thank you for that, Kyle.
Robin attempts to resolve any conflicts that she and Nancy had, but is told that they don't have any conflicts or problems towards each other. And Nancy continues to read old news related to the scene, only to find no clues that can lead them further. Robin eventually finds the Weekly Watcher, which usually covers outlandish conspiracy theories, and successfully finds that the supposed culprit, Victor Creel, claims that his house is haunted by an ancient demon. And this is the main cause of the family's demise after a failed exorcism. Shortly afterwards, Victor is sent inside Penhurst Asylum, with Robin connecting the dots that this was the main reason as to why he is sent inside the asylum, as the newspaper never went public, and records sealed with both of them conclude that the demon was Vecna. Having learn of this news, the pair informs the trio that the first victim of Vecna's dated back to 1959. At Miss Kelly's residence, Max visits her and asks if she can take a look at Chrissy's profile, and Max is still unable to open up about her trauma of Billy's death, and the counselor refuses to reciprocate Max's request. Upon getting rejected, Max tries to steal the keys. She got the keys, in the guise of a bathroom break, and successfully does so, with the trio starting to speed up to the school's counselor office.
Book, Miss Teacher Counselor
She
lady.
got washed like laundry. They eventually arrive at the school at midnight and search for the counselor's office in order to retrieve confidential archives.
These kids are so brave, by the way.
Yes.
I had to undergo, if I'm one of the OG kids and I've been on the show since, or adults, since season 1, pardon my French, there's no fucking way I'm sleeping normally. I'd be locked up with Victor Creel at this point, probably.
Yeah, I'd be in the Penhurst Asylum. I'd be roommates with Victor Creel.
That, or I already probably am not built good enough. I probably would have died at some point to Demi, whatever. Demidog, Demidome, Demigorgon.
At the Dimsdale Demodome.
Still Demidome. Point is that I don't think Kyle and I would make it this far in season 4.
Dustin informs Nancy and Robin, who had just finished their investigation, to come to the school immediately. Along the highway, 11 is in the process of being taken to a detention hall, to which she notices that several black SUVs are in hot pursuit. That is able to stop the vehicle and informs the driver that the girl belongs in their custody now. Panic thinking she was going to be taken away again, she attempts to sprint off, but is detained by several agents until she sees our good pal Sam Owens from afar, who goes, "Hey, kiddo."
That was a good little introduction scene.
Yes. And feeling relief that it is someone that she knows. They go to a diner where Owens explains that he had moved them to Lenora as it was a small and safe town far away from the horrors of Hawkins, and Owens brings up the true reason that he seeks 11 is to return her with her original powers, with the possible chance of it being more powerful than it originally was, in order to prepare to fight in a war that will take place within Hawkins to save her friends and the people. Knowing that the military is after 11, Owens has his people prepare the Nina Project and believes that she is the cure to ending it, while others, they fall towards the narrative that she's the cause of it all, and warns that her presence in Hawkins could jeopardize the lives of her friends and family. Owens gives her an option to either come up with him, with the possible chance that she might never see her friends again, or return to the Byers residence and continue life as normal. 11 chooses to come with Owens, hoping to regain her powers, and that waitress was so perplexed.
Dude, she made the food pretty fast. She's probably very confused, but it was a good way to leave.
Back at the Byers residence, Will, Mike, and Jonathan try to find ways to bring back 11 from the detention hall, only to be met by 3 agents from before, who inform them that they had to stay at their house until 11's training is complete, with one of them handling 11's letter to Mike, which proclaims that she will be a superhero again from 11. Not love. Again, heart shattered. At the school, Max, Dustin, and Steve successfully infiltrate the counselor's office and read Chrissy's profile, as well as Fred's, who they are surprised to have met with Miss Kelly as well. Elsewhere, Lucas leads the group to Hopper's cabin, where he falsely announces that Eddie uses this as a hideout, with Jason intending to ambush Eddie from both sides. Jason and his friends search the house, only to see no one. Then they try to search in the back, with Lucas using the opportunity to sneak out and meet the gang at the school. After reading both profiles carefully, Max discovers that Chrissy and Fred both share headaches, nosebleeds, constant nightmares, past traumas, nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea, something that Max
osteoporosis
has also been suffering from for the past 5 days. After Max realizes the revelation, Vecna starts to beckon her, with Max beginning to lead away. She gets led away by distorted chimes of a grandfather clock.
He's a damn clock.
And then cut to black, bang.
You had a jump scare in there before it cut to black, though. Right?
Yeah, it was like a quick black screen, and then it comes back, and then the bells chime. I was watching this with my CFO Margie, my mom, and she goes, "Now why the fuck would they let her walk away by herself?"
Because they're a bunch of idiots.
Oh, it was cracking up. It was so funny. And then we see the clock, and then episode 3 ends. This episode was like, this was the one that gets your adrenaline to start pumping. Like, episodes 1 and 2 was like, here's the landscape of, like, kind of how this season's going to be. I felt like this episode was like, all right, here comes the Stranger Things, like, pump it into your veins, because things are about to go on a wild ride.
Yeah. It was good. I very much enjoyed it, and it's a good thing we're talking about 3 and 4, because they very much, like you were saying, I think on camera or off camera, they go together very well. Like, they lead to each other, they bleed into each other, quite literally. So, no, I enjoyed it.
What would you score episode 3?
Probably an 8.5, because I'm going to give 4 a little higher than episode 3. So.
Yeah, I think I would give this one like an 8.5. Because again, it was kind of a prequel.
This was definitely a plot like leading into 4, like directly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is kind of like the prequel to like what the rest of the season is going to be like.
Whereas 4, I'm gonna give it a good score because there's so many storylines going on in 4 at once, and it bleeds in perfectly with each other. And then really 4 to 7, it's just like it's fucking like
It's a fucking
the Nitro,
roller coaster, yeah.
like the Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, like Nitro's on. Like we're grooving, we're going.
Yeah, we're zooming. Episode 4, titled "Dear Billy," and when I saw the episode list a while ago, and I saw this, I said, "Oh God."
Oh Billy.
This episode was an hour. Oh, yeah, shout out to Billy. This episode, an hour and 18 minutes long. So we kick off in the buyer's residence with Will, Mike, and Jonathan being informed by the agents of the killings that had been happening in Hawkins. The agents refused to reveal Eleven's location as a safety precaution, as other factions of the government are working to find her, and contact may put her in danger and in turn jeopardize the lives of everyone else. Until Eleven's training is finished, Agents Harmon and Wallace are assigned to take care of them. This information overwhelms and infuriates, the trio there, but they're reassured by the agents stating that they're friends of Sam Owens, and Mike receives Elle's letter from one of the agents, which proclaims that she will become a superhero again. Elsewhere in Hawkins High School, Nancy and Robin eventually arrive and meet up with Dustin and Steve. The group is informed by Max as she saw a vision of the grandfather clock while her body was in a trance-like state, which was similar to Chrissy's final moments as per Eddie's words. Max further elaborates that both Fred and Chrissy died less than 24 hours after their first initial hallucinations, stating her time is due to tomorrow after witnessing the grandfather clock. The group later meets with Lucas, who learns of Max's impending fate, while informing Dustin of Jason's intention of capturing him for information about Eddie's whereabouts. After Jason and his lackeys find no trace of Eddie and discover Lucas's disappearance, he pays a visit to the Sinclair residence, with Erica answering the front door. And from Erica, Jason finds out that Lucas has been in their D&D league with Dustin and had been tricked into searching Hopper's cabin. Meanwhile, Steve and Dustin and Lucas have been taking refuge in the Wheelers' basement, and Steve points out how Vecna could have existed back in the 50s, 30 years before their first encounter with the Upside Down. Dustin explains that the Upside Down world could have existed for a long time, while Eleven only opened the connection to the dimension. Steve and Lucas further question where the gate had been during that time and how Vecna was able to get through, to which Dustin is also confused. During that time, Max had been writing letters to all of her loved ones in case she does not live through the curse, and in order to learn more about what happened during the night of the murder, Nancy and Robin disguised themselves as criminal psychologists named Ruth and Rose from the University of Notre Dame. Shout out to Coach Lou Holtz from the University of Notre Dame. I'm just out here, and I just want to make sure that the Fighting Irish get back to winning before I poop my pants on the sidelines again.
Yeah, go Irish.
Go Notre Dame. They are able to score a 3 o'clock meeting with the director, hoping to sway him over with their charms to let them speak to Victor Creel. Sometime after their departure, Max hands Steve, Dustin, and Lucas her letters alongside Mike, Elle, and Will should they ever be damaged, if they should ever be contacted again. Back in Kamchatka, Hopper is forced to do more labor work on the railroads. During the prisoner's escort, Dmitry Antonov informs Hopper to find a church with a gray roof to meet the smuggler, and that Joyce had arrived in Alaska the night before. Their interaction gains the attention of a Russian guard, with Antonov consensually punching Hopper in order to avoid suspicion. While working on the railroad, Hopper intentionally breaks his sledgehammer and uses it as an excuse to go to the supply shed, where he is stopped by a guard. The guard is momentarily distracted by Hopper using the advantage and knocks him unconscious. The nosy guard from before notices the missing police chief and goes to the shed to retrieve him. Hopper engages with the guard and manages to snap his neck, absolutely brutalized him with the foot chains. Their fight is noticed by the other guards once the shots, bust through that terribly built ceiling.
Terribly built shed. Are you kidding me? How many holes there was in general?
And knowing he does not have much time left, He sets a flare near the explosives and makes his getaway through the roof and escapes on a snowmobile, which was absolutely electric to see that all go down.
Frostbite.
Yeah. The fact that he didn't contract frostbite was pretty wild to me.
Man's got toes of steel.
Or in this case, toes of ice.
Yeah. Quite literally. Well, probably. Got all them puppies out.
Right. So, morning at the Byers residence, Harmon and Wallace are still keeping watch over Mike, Will, and Jonathan. And in order to escape, Jonathan calls Surfer Boy Pizza, where his friend Argyle works. During this time, Mike and Will open up with each other, with Mike revealing his concerns for Elle, to which Will reassures they will meet again. Will
is definitely trying to open up in another way, which I think if you watched, they're definitely hinting at it, and I hope he gets to come clean and say how he truly feels, but I don't know if he'll ever get the chance.
Will opens up that he doesn't trust Owens, even though Owens had protected them, but wasn't able to protect him, and points out that they are the ones that saved him. The pair laughably jokes and say it's up to them once again. Jonathan agrees with their statement and plans to drive them back to Hawkins, assuming the agent's warnings are true. The trio plan to hail a ride from Argyle under the guise to the agents that they are hungry and want pizza. Not willing to spend her last day of life in solitude, Max tells Steve, Dustin, and Lucas to drive her to East Hawkins, where they can still get in contact with Penhurst Asylum. Steve initially refuses, but relents to her request upon hearing that she is willing to go alone. Stopping by her house, she gives her letter to her mother and asks her to deliver it to the rest of her family, with her embracing her mom tightly, and suddenly the surroundings disturbingly change with Max seeing Vecna. That was so
up.
creepy.
That was a low blow, Vecna.
Yeah. He tells her that her time is almost at an end before Max snaps back to reality. Whoop, there goes Rabbit. He choked you so.
Oh, I knew you were going to do that. I knew it. I felt it in my bones.
Radioactive, right? Knowing that she does not have much time left, she intends to visit Billy's grave to read her thoughts about him. At Penhurst Asylum...
Acting, by the way, by Sadie Sink, right?
Yeah.
Sink? Awesome job this season from her.
Nancy and Robin meet with the director of the institution, claiming to be scholars with a letter of recommendation from Professor Brantley. They try to acquire permission to see Victor Creel, but are told that a certain protocol is involved when it comes to seeing patients in the high security section, in the form of a request and an evaluation from the board committee. Nancy tries to convince him to no avail until Robin steps up and persuades the director to give them 10 minutes with the patient, which he finally grants. And this scene was so good. Like, the acting by Robin was so great.
It was incredible, but I watched this with my parents, and my mom or dad, one of them made a remark that was so true. They were like, "This is awesome, but that guy still sucks at his job."
Yes, 100%. Which is so great. So then, after that, we move forward. They get granted that access, that all
VIP.
access pass. And then in Alaska, Joyce and Murray manage to find Fish and Fly and its pilot, Yuri. Handing over the amount of cash that was agreed upon, $40,000. Wanting to check it carefully, Yuri proceeds to count thoroughly while insisting they drink some of the coffee he had available. He goes full-blown Mordo on their asses like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Which we learn the hard way. Don't ever drink a strange Russian man's coffee if you're doing a criminal exchange, illegally flying into another country. Murray, of all people, as the crackpot, as the paranoid man as he is, I was very surprised to see that they both reluctantly drank the coffee.
Yes.
That was a good little detail they put in there. I was like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yeah, I was very shocked that they went through.
I wouldn't have drank it, dude. I love coffee. I have cups every day, but I'm not doing that.
So Yuri proceeds to count the money and everything, and then afterwards he calls Antonov to know of Hopper's status before extracting him. And
Uno reverse card at that moment.
Right? Reverse. He said, I have highly valuable fugitives, and I make more money. I am Yuri. I get more peanut butter.
Once again, everyone saw this coming. There's literally dialogue saying, "You trust him?" Hopper to Enzo, and he's like, "Yeah, I trust him."
Yeah, I trust him. Wandering through the asylum's courtyard, Nancy and Robin are given a tour by the director, Anthony, and when they reach the criminal ward, the girls ask to question Victor alone, with him reluctantly accepting their request, but not before telling the guard to watch the pair closely. Nancy and Robin request his help as they believe the culprit that killed his family has returned. After telling him of the symptoms that Max had, they ask how he survived an attack by the demon. He then relates to them the events that transpired in 1959.
What a tragic backstory.
That was brutal.
Poor guy. That was a horror movie in itself.
Yes. Receiving an order from the buyer's residence, Argyle heads to the destination. Meanwhile, in the house, Will and Mike rekindle their friendship as both acknowledge their flaws at their way of handling things during the incident at Rinkomania and the aftermath. Hearing the car arrive, Will, Mike, and Jonathan prepare to leave, with Agent Wallace opening the front door, only to get shot in the stomach by a U.S. soldier. This was the biggest blitzkrieg, unbelievable, twist.
And this is where my boy, Agent Harmon, went fucking Jack Bauer. My man held it down, bro. He 1v5.
What an awesome scene. A gunfight soon erupts with the trio escaping and making it to Argyle's van. While Harmon is seriously injured after being shot in the stomach, the group ultimately makes the getaway. After traveling for a while, Hopper arrives at the designated location and temporarily takes shelter. During this time, Yuri calls Antonov to let him know that there has been a change in plan, revealing that he has revealed Hopper's location, informed the other guards of Antonov's betrayal, and spiked Joyce and Murray's coffee, making them pass out with the purpose of gaining more money and by turning them into the KGB. Hopper tries to escape through the window. Shout out Dear Evan Hansen.
I also learned that peanut butter used to be in glass jars.
Yeah, and is illegal in Russia.
Well, it was. I hope it's not now.
Yeah. As Hopper escaping through a window, but fails as he is overwhelmed and knocked unconscious, with Antonov detained by guards for his act in helping Hopper's escape. In 1959, Victor Creel returns to his family 14 years after participating in the war and gains an inheritance after his wife's uncle passed away. This is what we saw during the Netflix to Dumb event, actually. This was this trailer when we saw the house for the first time and we were like, who are these characters? This is this scene. He bought his family a new house with the intent of starting a new life, and after a month of peace, things take a dark turn when his daughter, Alice Creel, discovers a mutilated rabbit near their house. Thinking that it's an attack by a wildcat, Victor stayed up and actively searched for signs of the predator, only to realize that the culprit is an otherworldly entity. The first attack in this form, in the form of his wife, Virginia Creel, experiencing a hallucination of the bathtub full of Black Widows.
Poor girl.
This makes that theory of Black Widow and Stranger Things being connected even better. Alice begins to have constant nightmares shortly afterward, and Victor himself sees a crib lit aflame. Victor Creel lit aflame as a baby wails in pain. One night, the Creels were having dinner when the lights began to flicker.
not much longer dinner. Oh, yeah.
Virginia was subsequently lifted in the air and had all her bones snapped and her eyes gouged out. Victor tries to save.
I like you the least.
Victor tries to save the kids by attempting to leave the house, only to relive his traumatic memory of him ordering a bombing of an innocent French village that was presumed to hold German soldiers, showing the baby dying as its crib is set on fire.
That part really made me like the tragic backstory even more. Like that was just putting more wood on the fire in terms of this man is living through everyone's worst nightmare. He's like in a literal horror story inside a horror story, essentially. And then he also is a World War II vet who probably has PTSD and accidentally murdered a child or children. Really, really pour it on, guy. And he's still alive. He's suffering to this day. He's like, yeah.
So then during the hallucination, Victor hears his favorite song and interprets it as the voice of an angel, only to be snapped back to reality to discover Alice had been killed with Henry in a coma, and was believed to be dead a week after. At this time of incarceration, he attempted suicide by gouging his eyes out.
Your dad's gonna make the same comment as the dad thing. My dad was watching it and was just like, why would he stab his eyes? So dumbfounded, like, why would he? And I'm like, not to promote anything of that nature, but I mean, Victor, you did choose probably the worst possible spot to try.
So as to be reunited with his family, only for the attempt to end in failure. After listening to his story, Nancy tries to further question as to who the angel was that he had heard, but is interrupted by director Anthony, who finds out about their whole plot and scheme. Stopping at Roan Hills Cemetery, Max visits Billy's grave, but not before she is stopped by Lucas. He informs her he knows that she had experienced one of Vecna's hallucinations back at the trailer park and implores her to open up to them. At Billy's grave, Max reads her eulogy letter to Billy and expresses guilt, grief, and how she had hoped for a chance of reconciliation. After Max finishes reading the letter...
by herself, though. Like, I know you wouldn't let me walk to a tombstone by myself if you knew an otherworldly demon was going to, yeet my body. Like, yeah, let Dylan go walk over there, way over there by himself.
The surroundings begin to shift once more into Vecna's visions, and in the vision, Billy accuses that part of her felt relief after his death, along with her desire of dying after him. Vecna then begins to pursue Max as she tries to escape, and back in reality, Max's trance state is eventually noticed by the group, with Steve ordering Dustin to contact Nancy and Robin immediately. During their escort out of Penhurst Asylum, Robin discovers the voice of the angel Victor had heard is in fact a song based on his humming, which was Dream a Little, Dream of Me by Ella Fitzgerald. She further remembers Hatch's words related to music being able to connect a part of the mind where it can't. Robin realizes that the song acts as a lifeline back to reality, and Nancy and Robin both run towards the car and make their escape. Robin eventually contacts Dustin and tells him the information. Elsewhere in the Upside Down, Max stumbles on what seems to be an old wrecked house with Vecna's victims on display. Vecna expresses displeasure as Max stumbles on his lair and eventually captures her. Back in reality, Dustin gathers Max's Walkman and cassette tapes and frantically asks Lucas what her favorite song is. Lucas eventually finds her favorite song to be Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush.
Thank God he knew.
Plays it into Max's physical body, which opens another portal back to the reality for spiritual Max. As she is prepared to be killed by Vecna, she recounts all the happy moments that she had spent with Lucas and Eleven, as well as the rest of her friends, which grants her escape from Vecna's grasp. And when that moment was going on, I was like, come on. I was literally out loud, come on, Max, get the fuck out of there. I was when they showed the montage, I was losing it.
I was like, you got this.
I was like, come on, Max, run up that fucking hill.
I probably speak for you and most viewers. I thought they were gonna do gotta be quicker than that. Did you think that too? Did you think she was gonna get to the very end and they were gonna be
and it was yeah. So Max frantically runs towards the portal with Vecna attempting to stop her, but fails as she reunites with her physical body. She tearfully embraces Lucas and the rest of the group as she successfully escapes from Vecna's curse. And for the people at home, if you don't already know, Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill is the #1 song in America right now.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Also, I just realized the idea of Vecna, without divulging too far into him, because I am further ahead. I watched the rest of the whole show, so Kyle. But, so you can assume that Vecna is kind of like Freddy Krueger, right?
Yes.
They're kind of one of the same. They literally have the same gosh darn actor as Freddy Krueger. So Vecna is connecting to people via sleep. So it's interesting because in Nightmare on Elm Street, there's different ways to wake people up. I think you can literally just wake someone up in that movie franchise, right? If I'm not correct.
I think so.
like pain or something. Whereas this one, it seems the only way to wake them up is your favorite song, which I personally think it might not just be a favorite song. It might just be a song you like because that's really specific. Because there's quite a few songs that Kyle and I enjoy, so I feel like as long as you like the song, you wake up.
What song would you want to be played, Dylan, if you needed to be waking up from Vecna?
Dreams and Nightmares. Yo, no.
No,
that song, or seriously though, I'd probably want Sunday Morning, Remembering 5.
That's a good one. Noah Schnapp.
Can you imagine like me getting like tortured, about to get literally like murdered? Sunday morning. I was like, what?
Sunday morning, Dylan's dying.
And then your Spotify ad comes on. I'm dead.
Noah Schnapp, the actor who plays Will, tweeted, "If Vecna ever came for me, just blast WAP into my AirPods and I'll be good." Dreams and Nightmares is a good one. Man. Leather Jacket by R. Kells. That's a banger. That would get me going.
Oh my god. How iconic would it be if your favorite song is I'm Still Standing by Elton John?
Yeah. My Hero by the Foo Fighters.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
That would be a good one. This is where people can comment on YouTube. What song?
Yeah, let us know what song you would want us to play for you to get you out of there. I was laughing. I said, "What if someone's favorite song was Creep?" Back then, I'd be like, "Yo, bro,
I'm a creep."
I'd be like, "You want to talk about it?"
I guarantee if you're between the ages of like 6 and like 12, we don't talk about Bruno.
Or Baby Shark if they're younger.
We don't talk about Vecna.
Ew, he probably pissed after like he tries to kill like a bunch of younger victims, and then like he has to hear that song for the 8th time. He's like, "Damn it, fall again!
Done with this."
I must elaborate my age base. Which something to note, he's only targeted high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
Victor Creel is the only person that he targets that's an adult. When you watch the show, you kind of get an answer to that later, but you don't really get an answer. Kyle and I can speak on this. It's not really a spoiler at all. You don't really get an answer to exactly why he's targeting your demographic. You're led to believe it's because they have something they're like hiding and not letting go, like harping on. But like that's any high school kid.
Yeah.
Like so. I don't know. Like you know what I mean? Like that's something I'm wondering going forward. Like if they're going to reveal his thought process, like his as in Vecna, like his thought process. I mean, I'm assuming he's a he people. I'm sorry, sue me. No, I'm kidding. Don't actually sue me. But you know what I mean? Like anyone listening, please comment this too, like without spoilers. But like, do you have a theory, like without giving too much detail, as to why he's targeting this particular set of kids? Because they're nothing alike. It's literally cheerleader, but like a straight edge cheerleader, no drugs. Well, at the very end, yes, drugs. A basketball player who seemed to be like a follower, but kind of a little more like conscious than the other ones. Like he kind of had somewhat of a you know like a thoughtful mindset, and then
the nerd,
a literal nerd, but like a loner.
Yeah,
like a skater loner girl, also from California. Like there's no.
Oh no, I was talking about Fred too. Like
Fred, yeah, Fred,
nerd newspaper kid. Yeah, it's a weird collection of... It's very Criminal Minds-esque, where it's like, why is there no full-blown connection other than the fact that they're high schoolers?
Yeah, because I'm treating Vecna... I'm like, okay, let me imagine you scary D&D monster, you're on Law & Order, and you're a serial killer. I'm like, what's the thread here?
Dun, 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 dun,
insert It's Always Sunny gif of me pointing on the wall, one of the threads, but like, I'm trying, you know what I mean? Like, there's not much common denominator here.
You and I both agreed, like, this episode, like, kicked this season into hyperdrive. Like, this is the one that it's like, boom, let's fucking go.
That's why my score is higher than my other 3 scores.
So what are you giving this one?
9.
I think I gave episode 1 and 2 both 9.3s. And then we both just gave 8.5 to episode 3. I'm giving this one like a 9.4. Because
that puts it at 9.2 if you do the math. That's great.
Facts. Like the story building, you get Victor Creel for the first time, like
excuse me, how do you say that?
Victor Creel.
There you go.
You get Vecna full blown in like a red Scarlet Witch looking upside down. You get Kate Bush's hit song.
Don't you dare compare Vecna to Mommy Elizabeth Olsen, okay?
It's Mommy and Daddy.
And I'm only saying that because if you've seen that video, you know what I'm talking about. Apparently, she does not mind being called Mother or Mommy.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen is for the guys and the gals.
She's for the boys.
And the gals. Yeah.
And then, have you seen the Stranger Things Twitter account? Just absolutely like hilarious. Everybody tweeting about Vecna being daddy. They're like, you seriously need help.
People have. I haven't seen that. I've seen that on.
And then they're like, you guys need to stop.
Love it. No, it's a great episode.
Yeah, I love this episode. It was like the first like full blown, start to finish, almost like jaw dropper episode of the season.
It was just cool how they managed to fit so many different like storylines into one.
I like that a lot about this season.
For it to cohesively like flow and not feel jagged or like rushed or like you don't feel like you're gypped, like you feel like in the small amount of time the one storyline may have compared to the other ones. Because like even the Joyce and the Murray storyline, which is probably the most underwhelming, that takes a turn and you're like, holy shit, they got poisoned or they got drugged. Like Hopper got betrayed because it all ties in, and it's cool how they're all loosely tying into one another, and they're all gonna hopefully meet up again at one point. But like it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So next episode we will dive into
episode 5,
and then we'll
episode 5 and episode 4 of Babu Freak.
But now we are going to get into our Miss Marvel predictions segment. Obviously, Miss Marvel.
What to predict for this?
That's the fun part about this, like going into this show. Miss Marvel coming to Disney Plus.
Michael Fassbender and Mephisto come in, and they adopt her. And they raise her, and that's my prediction. No, I'm kidding.
Miss Marvel coming to Disney Plus next week, June 8th. Another, Disney Plus Marvel, miniseries. Like we said, the fun part about this show is we don't know what to expect. Where almost every other Disney Plus show, for the most part, you kind of had a basis. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that didn't really know too much about Moon Knight, but like you
what
and
other characters are going to be in this besides Camila Khan?
Marvel? That's the thing. I don't know if we're going to get...
Yeah, I don't know without looking, and honestly, this is kind of one where I know we're both in the same boat. I haven't done a lot of digging. Like, I'm not trying to actively find leaks or rumors.
I kind of want to be surprised by this show.
Yeah, I think it's better to go in surprised because... the only thing I'm nervous about, and I guess this kind of falls under a prediction, I'm nervous about the CGI because I've been seeing this a lot. We've kind of talked about it a little bit, and it is kind of true. And I don't think it's any developer or creator's fault in terms of like artistic style. I just think Marvel is pumping out so much that they're like the people designing them, like CGI. There's probably only a handful of studios that can CGI to that like high level and that volume and like that money. So my point is there's a good chance like they're working on repetitive projects. So my point is you can see some Marvel entities going like in the recent past couple of years have fallen like subject to I don't want to say being rushed, but like you know what I mean, like how it's they're just banging them out like boom 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 boom. Like some of the CG in the shows look bad. And I think my only takeaway on that is for characters that you can, just look at what the new Top Gun movie did and look at what Batman did and look at what I think Dune used some practical effects too. Mm-hmm. Just have more practical effects, Marvel. Not everything has to be CGI. So that's my only thing for any show going forward. You don't. I mean, granted, like some like She-Hulk, yes, we have to CGI her, but like and Hawk, but like. Knight and other characters, there were scenes where he wasn't CGI'd because he had the suit on. So my point is, with Miss Marvel, they can do that. Oh, you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
just skeptical of the CG to practical effect ratio. So my prediction is hopefully they use more practical effects because practical effects in recent movies, because Top Gun had one of the best opening weekends ever in life, is all practical effects. So we can
Yeah.
learn from that.
Um, I think the only person I can like in my brain right now think that could
I'm
make
gonna
an appearance is Monica Rambeau.
I'm gonna I'm gonna Google the cast list. No, I'm
Yeah, I'm
not.
gonna pull that up too. Monica Rambeau is like the one off the top of my head. Obviously, we saw her at the end of WandaVision going with the Skrulls and everything, and Miss Marvel
WandaVision.
has the ties in with the Kree. Um, Looking at the cast here, it's a lot of like new people to the MCU that have been like shown, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, Iman Vellani, I'm super excited to just see like her character arc and like her take on Miss Marvel, and she's so excited to be in this role too, rightfully so. Um, I think it's going to be very exciting from a sense too that Miss Marvel is part of the Young Avengers. She's in the Champions run that you and I read when
Yeah.
we were in college, which is exciting as well. Um, that's the thing. Like this series could go in so many different directions, and I like what we've seen so far from the trailers. Like seeing like her thoughts. It's like a live action portrayal of like how Miles Morales and Into the Spider-Verse, like things are just like bouncing all around like comic book style. We're
Yeah.
getting that in a live action sense, which is very exciting from like just a visual aspect. And then knowing that, you know, her powers come from the Terrigen Mist, and we just saw Black Bolt in Multiverse of Madness, and you know, there's so many ties that you could incorporate Miss Marvel with, and obviously she's going to be in Captain Marvel 2, The Marvels. Um, so I think that's going to be a setup there where, you know, we might see Carol Danvers, you know, in a post-credit scene or something like that. But, you know, it's based in New Jersey again. Shout out to our New Jersey peeps. Um, she's just like a big fan of the Avengers. Like that's one of her character like traits is like she looks up to the Avengers as like these
Aren't we
awesome
all?
people. Very true. Um, and like we said, I think the coolest part about this is like you can honestly predict anything for this show just about, and it could happen. I think the biggest question and prediction we're gonna have to like dive into is where do her powers actually come from? Because like I said, Black
Well,
Bolt,
yeah, they're changing them. I think
yeah, they're
I read
changing them up a
somewhere.
bit, which I'm fine with. Like they don't want
Yeah,
it to be
same.
too similar to Mr. Fantastic, which is great. Um, I think the only like we just saw Black Bolt, like we said in Multiverse of Madness with Terrigen Mist. Is that now technically MCU canon to where they could bring that into this show? I would say yes, but you don't know if they will. It looks like she's got those like you know bracelets that she finds in like an attic of a family member's house that give her powers. That could be like Kree technology. We don't know. I think that's going to be the biggest question we want to see answered from Miss Marvel is where the heck do her powers come from?
Yeah, and they'll definitely obviously explore that. So I guess we can say a lame duck prediction is we predict we'll find out how she gets her powers,
Yeah,
and I don't know. It's hard.
it's fun because this is like the one show so far that you and I both don't really have too much of a background on. Every other Marvel show we've gotten on Disney Plus, we've had some sort of connection to
Knowledge.
the character previously from the other, you know,
Yeah, because
runs
admittedly,
of the
I'm not
MCU.
really that familiar with Miss Marvel in terms of like, uh, I, I guess canonically in the comics, like she's not one of the people I've read about that much. That's no knock
Yeah.
to her. And, you know, we all have our favorites, and she's not in my,
And she's a
she's not in
relatively
my,
new character anyway.
yeah, as well. She's not my, what was it, my MySpace 8 or whatever it was. She's not up there.
And I mean, you and I had connections to Moon Knight because in college, you know,
Hmm.
our comic book dealer, shout out to Tim, biggest Moon Knight fan we've ever met, and he would
I have to
always
go back there soon.
same. Um, we would always talk about Moon Knight, and he'd fill us in about, you know, you guys should get into Moon Knight, and then we were ready to rock and roll for that. But now Miss Marvel, like, the only kind of takes we have are everything we've seen in Champions, which we could see stuff from that. But I think because it's a new character being introduced to the MCU, we just need to figure out her origin story and where she's going to kind of fall into place moving forward with Phase 4.
No, I'm just going to say ditto because I don't really know what else to say for the show and her, which is kind of exciting. I'm going in blind, and we'll see how I like it. I'm a little skeptical, but also not really because I don't really know what to expect. So it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I have positive expectations, but zero expectations, if that makes sense. And I like going into that this way.
Yeah, no, that's probably the safest way to go into that kind of thing.
As opposed to She-Hulk, where I have like through the roof expectations,
which could lead to disappointment.
Right. Where this could potentially be, an all-timer, and we'll see because it starts next week, Dylan. We're gonna have 3 shows to talk about next week, which is
my sleep schedule's
crazy.
Not going to be a fan, Annie.
Which brings us to everybody's favorite segment. It is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by the homies over at Pickup. I totally screwed up the layout, so it is blacked out right now, but you guys know what we're talking about.
It's all right. We're still on it. That's what I call pod racing.
I might be able to pop it in here, but it is brought to you by the homies over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports, rack up points on your fan profiles, cash them in for prizes. That's playpickup.com. Dylan, we've been talking about it pre-pod. We've been talking about it here and there on the pod. The biggest reveal for The Mandalorian Season 3 is we are getting the return of Babu Frick. Hey!
Everyone's favorite Star Wars character, Babu Frick.
Babu Frick is back. What the frick is up? You and I both agree he's like one of the funniest aspects of the sequel series.
One of the few things I enjoy about the sequel series. So yes, it is not a disadvantage of him coming back.
The fact that he's coming back in The Mandalorian only has my mind running 1,000,000 miles a minute thinking of where is he going to fit in this series.
I hope he's a bounty. I hope it's Mando hunting him down for something stupid. Babu Frick
will appear in The Mandalorian Season 3.
And then Babu Frick plays tough to get, and Mando delivers the I can bring you in cold or warm.
Babu Frick he just wields the Darksaber.
The Darksaber is literally twice the size of that little dude.
Hey! Did you see Giancarlo Esposito's quote on Grogu?
No.
Literal quote. I will squash that little green bastard.
That's awesome. Speaking of Star Wars, they confirmed that the Wookiee Jedi Gungi is in Clone Wars, so the release streaming service is alive. He's going to be in that like original Star Wars show about I think it's called Tales of the Jedi or whatever.
Yes.
I read that Liam Neeson's actually returning to reprise his role in that as well. But if it's not that show, it's something else. But anyway,
he will return to voice Qui-Gon Jinn in Tales of the Jedi.
And we're getting a young Count Dooku, so we'll see how Count Dooku turned to the dark side. Because Count Dooku was once a Jedi, which is also awesome.
Jon Favreau says he is currently writing The Mandalorian Season 4.
Nice. That means that Babu Frick.
Dylan, this one will excite you. I know we never finished talking about it on this show, but Star Wars Visions Volume 2 drops spring 2023.
I just recently finally watched all of them. That was one of the things that Kyle and I, well, mostly me, both of us, I guess, but I got behind on that. But no, I watched them. I will say, though, out of all 9, I think there's 9, right? 9?
Yeah, I never finished it.
The only like 3 or 4 are really good, and the other ones are just kind of like meh. So
Lucasfilm says that Star Wars and anime has a very, very bright future.
makes sense. Anime is very popular right now. It's the most popular it's ever been, so it makes sense if you're a big franchise to keep appealing to a decent, chunk of the fan base.
The first trailer and poster for Disney's live-action Pinocchio movie dropped this week. It will release on Disney Plus September 8th. Tom
I'm excited
Hanks
about that.
is Geppetto in that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's crazy casting. It's a pretty interesting cast for that movie.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
I'm
looked
kind
at
of
the whole
excited
cast.
for it.
I'm kind of excited for it, but I feel like Pinocchio's already been done a couple times.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like I get kind of hesitant when a movie's been done so many times already. Like I'm not saying it has it. It's some things can be done more than once, but it's like
Mhm.
some things you do it like once or twice, and it's just like okay, it's dead. Stop.
Did you see the weird, crazy Winnie the Pooh movie that's apparently being developed too?
Yeah, that's nightmare fuel.
That is horrifying.
Apparently, because Winnie the Pooh is not entirely trademarked, so they're able to do that.
Yeah, it's in like open resource now or something like that. So,
But I read like something about the shirt's trademark though, so they
yeah,
can't like in that weird spoof,
that thing
you can't have the red shirt.
that thing looked like the Winnie the Pooh meme, where it's like the hillbilly one, where you got all the teeth out.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh has given us some good memes over the course of like our adult life though.
Stranger Things season 4 volume 1 breaks the record for Netflix's biggest premiere weekend ever with 287 million hours viewed.
Shit's lit, dude.
And it is the number 1 show on Netflix in 89 countries.
That's a lot of countries. That is more than 5.
That is a lot more than 5. I wish my browser would stop freezing on me.
Babu Freak is
at it again. Happy 26th birthday to Tom Holland.
Wait, he's 26? I didn't know he was my age. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's a young bull. Oscar Isaac revealed the suits in Moon Knight were originally reversed. So Stephen Grant was supposed to be Moon Knight, and then Mark Spector was supposed to be Mr. Knight.
I like the way they did it more. Like the
Me
way
too.
they had it.
Do you want another fun, hilarious quote, Dylan, from one of our favorite directors?
Yes.
Taika Waititi, when asked about Bridgerton. The fuck is that?
Oh, speaking of him, I saw a TikTok someone sent me. It was him talking about how he's the laziest actor. I don't know if you've seen this. I'll send it to you after. But basically,
Okay.
he's like doing an interview. So if you watch Jojo Rabbit, Takiti plays Hitler. And he was like, yeah, I'm the laziest actor. I played Hitler, didn't even research him, not once. He's like recently played Blackbeard, the pirate. Googled him, or Wikipedia'd him, too many words. I stopped, saw they had an accent. Sounds like Stephen Merchant. He's like, that's my range, me. I'm lazy. It was really funny, like him talking about like how lazy he is. I mean, obviously he's being, and he ended it with like, it's worked for me since I'm successful.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's an interesting man, very interesting man. I would love to pick his brain one day on this.
Bryce Dallas Howard is returning to direct an episode of The Mandalorian Season 3, which has me very, very excited because all of her episodes are fantastic.
She's only spat out fire.
She's fantastic in everything she touches with The Mandalorian. So,
she got a good directive mind.
More on the Mandalorian. Din Djarin will head to Mandalore in Season 3, and Bo-Katan appears to be the antagonist of the season.
Yeah, because she's upside spaghetti. She get the saber.
I know we touched on this a little bit last week, or, on the most recent episode we did. Kathleen Kennedy confirms the next Star Wars film is Taika Waititi's.
Yes, and that's going to be great.
And I don't know if we talked about it at all on the pod at all, really.
What was it?
the new Netflix movie that's coming out this summer, Gray Man.
Oh yeah. No, you've mentioned it a couple times.
Yeah, we might have brought it up. It's the Russo brothers directing it, which is automatically, like, in my book, appointment viewing. It's Chris Evans.
Schedule my appointment now.
Like, it's starring Chris Evans, Ryan Gosling, Ana de Armas. Come on now.
That's a very beautiful cast.
Do you want me to read the? Here's the description for everybody. It's action thriller. It's going to be on Netflix July 22nd. And it's when the CIA's most skilled operative, whose true identity is known to none, accidentally uncovers dark agency secrets. A psychopathic former colleague puts a bounty on his head, setting off a global manhunt by international assassins.
So it's like CIA John Wick.
Yep.
Cool.
With Chris Evans and fucking Ryan Gosling and Ana de Armas and the Russo brothers.
I could get behind that.
So that'll definitely be something we talk about on the pod, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's the watch when it comes out.
So that's everything we got for you guys this episode. Make sure you're following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter and on Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311.
And do the thing. Do the thing. Leave comments and reviews on all the platforms in which you can listen, see our beautiful faces. And in that review, let us know what you want us to watch next. Kyle and I have started to get a review here and there. So it's awesome, and we've taken it to heart. I know someone told me to watch Chernobyl, and I watched it. I know someone talked about something else. Kyle brought up something, and I tried it.
Peacock series that I still have to watch. It's in my queue, but we've just been on content overload recently with the major nerd series that we cover.
Point us, just help us, like the video or follow the podcast, follow the channel, leave a review, 5 stars, and let us know what you want us to watch.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and don't worry, for everybody that tuned in for We Own This City, it will be back on the docket. Don't worry. I've just fallen behind, and because it came out on Mondays, it was tough to catch up and everything.
Yeah.
But it ended on Memorial Day, so the series is over now, so I can kind of full blown just binge it now, which is exciting. But leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe, unsubscribe, and resubscribe, and then subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button, the bell icon, so you don't miss a single episode of StreamerSZN. And big thank you to our sponsors, Tomahawk Shades, Kenwood Beer, and Beano Board. Go to tomahawkshades.com, use promo code USP for 25% off your order. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny Tracker. It's Dylan's beverage of choice when he's traveling the sands of Tatooine or hitting up the Upside Down.
I hate the sands of Tatooine.
That's why you gotta keep those crisp tasting Kennys in your belly. Kenwoodbeer.com.
Kyle is saying I stay sloshed when I'm in Tatooine is what he's trying.
You got to be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. And Beano Board, the UBL, Dylan. I don't know if you saw it on the gram. We're plotting and scheming, everybody. The UBL.
Yeah, I did see that. That looks legit.
Coming to the YouTube and the Twitch channel, hopefully this summer. We're ready to kick that off. But you guys can go to beanoboard.com and use code BEANOUSP for 10% off your order from the homies over at Beano. This has been another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive TV and movie podcast for streaming platforms on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Dylan, I'm KB, and until next week, your favorite Cowabunga boys are going to keep the door open 3 inches and run up that hill. Peace.